Hello everybody, my name is Shalise. Welcome now everybody to my Expanse Season 5 Episode 10 Nemesis Games Review. This is the season finale of The Expanse. And I gotta say this, I enjoyed Expanse Season 5. This season was actually a very build up to the future Season 6, which will be the final season and the Civil War. Which I believe the expansion should continue for another 2 more years. There's so much detail and story that they could put for another 7, 8, this show could go on for 10 years in my opinion. The 10 seasons full, but this season of The Expanse, it really just deals with the fact that there's going to be a civil war between Marco Naros and the other Belters. In this episode, James Holden, he is basically with the Rocinante new crew. He's going to set up as bait, so Alex and Bobby could go rescue not Naomi. They could rescue Naomi and save her. And during this time, James is Holden. He's just using himself as bait so he could save the woman he loves and give Marco Naros a fight. And we get some nice space battles. We get some nice action. Ultimately, at the end of the day, people are gonna have to decide what team they want to be. Drummer, basically, with her some of her new family, kills Marco Naros' soldiers. They take control and they basically make a stand with James Holden and all that. So James Holden, at the end of the day, is saved by Drummer. Drummer has made her decision, even though it will lead to one of her crew members dying in Marco Naros' custody. And she has made her decision, even though this is going to split her family apart. And I feel for Drummer and his character, but there was no other way. As she says, at least now we have a choice. And the woman that she loved is not leaving her. And all that stuff, which is tragic in a sense. But I really, really enjoyed this season, what they did with Drummer. They brought her, I didn't like the fact that she was getting constantly kicked in the teeth and she couldn't, and she was just taking every single thing of what Marco was dissing out to her, of killing Astrid, and then so far killing Naomi and all that stuff, or supposedly, and was helpless about it, and she was not going to do this to Russell, not that she made her choice, and some of her crew, some of the Belters made the choice too with her. Her family is her family, and she's going to make a choice to fight against Marcos and Arls. Philip is now more involved with his father more than ever. He's a lot more cold because Marco Naros is just manipulating him. This was a very good season for building up Philip and Marco Naros, and I really believe Philip is going to turn on his father sooner rather than later. But right now, he still had, at the end of the episode, well, near the end of the episode, he had that look like, yeah, I'm with my father, but maybe you never know, maybe Philip might actually be worse than his father. You never know where it's going to lead to, and that's what I love about the Expanse. I like the unknown. But also with this one, at the end of the day, one character has died, and the character that has died was Alex. And I know I'm looking at the name, but the thing is with Alex, had the actor who plays Alex, Cass Andra, the reason why he was killed off was because, the sexual assault allegations. I'm not sure if they're true or not, but if it isn't true and it turns out to be lies and all that stuff, well, that just sucks. But if it is true, well, what do you expect it to happen? So he was fired. He ain't gonna be in season 6, and he was killed off. And I'm glad they're not gonna replace this character. They honored the character. They honored the tribute of Alex and what he means for Rocinante. They're gonna need a new pilot and all this stuff. And I like how Naomi says when Naomi's with James Holden, and the reason. And before I get into how the conversation between James Holden and Naomi, Alex dies of a stroke because they did a hard burn and all that stuff. So it was a very unique way to kill him off. But at first I didn't was like, what's happening to Alex? Why is he bleeding? Like, he was just talking just a second ago just fine. It does suck about him that the fact that his wife never forgave him and all that other stuff, but I really did enjoy Alex's character. And to say the way he went out to saving somebody he loved, a part of his family, that's how Alex was, and his character went out with a good show-off. Now, as Naomi says to Holden, that we have to have families change, family grows, families sometimes drift apart, sometimes old family members will go, but you can't survive without me. You must hold on. You don't shut yourself out. And they have this nice, beautiful moment together, so I love Naomi and James Holden together. I really liked them as a couple. And Amos when he came back, he just had, sometimes you gotta forgive people and all that stuff. He was having a heart-to-heart with with Holden and all that stuff. And at the end of the day, Peaches joined the crew, so Peaches is more likely to be the new pilot, which I did enjoy. And I like Mao. I mean, she's a very interesting character, and I cannot wait what else they're gonna bring with her. I really think her and Amos are gonna get together at the end, and I really do enjoy them as together as a couple. Well, not as a couple; they're not officially a couple yet, but I really do enjoy them as characters. And now she's part of the crew. I like it. I really like what they're going with Amos and his character, and ultimately, at the end of the day, everybody's united against Marco. Strummer is with her belt, hers, and more than likely there's going to be a civil war against Marco Naros and the belt. Then you got the people of Earth. You know, they were having civil war, not civil war, but they were having disagreements of what it means to be like with Marco and all that stuff. Like, are we gonna destroy all belters? What about the innocent ones? And Christian basically becomes the freaking person in charge again. She becomes the president, and she's also decided that we're going to unify. And at the end, like near the end of the episode, Marco Naros and James Holden and everybody in the Rocinante crew, they're all together, and it's a league of people fighting against Marco Naros, the greater enemy, the greater threat. But it turns out there might be a bigger, greater threat in the Expanse. I mean, I know we didn't really focus a lot about the people who made the rings, the people who made the protomolecules and all that stuff. The people who made the freaking rings and all that stuff, I know I had to go back to episode 1 to actually get a clear view about this, because we only go from episode 1 to talk about these characters, to talk about this lore about the people who made the rings and what they were trying to do. The people who made the rings, the people who made the protomolecule. We get a little bit of that in like the first episode of the season, and then we go straight to the 10. So I think, even though it was a nice thing to see, because there is a callback to that about there is a callback to the people who made the rings in from episode 10 to from episode 1. This was a very good episode of The Expanse. Not my favorite episode. This is not my favorite season at all. I would actually say this is my least favorite, but saying the least favorite Expanse is like, okay, it's not an A for me, it's a B plus, but a B plus is still a damn good season, and the entire episode was still a very good episode. I really like where they're going with it, and it really shows that Marco Naros is not playing games. He's to control the rings. Basically, he's bribed basically a faction of Mars, and he bribed a faction of the Mars coalition, and now there's a separate group of the Mars people, the fleet. And now they're just separate from Mars, and now they went to the ring and they're in charge. But there's just something at the end which I can't really explain, because I'm still mind blown about what happened. They went through the ring, they got frozen in time. I'm not sure what's going to happen. As James Holden said, maybe these Martians know something that we don't. And I gotta be honest with you, I really do not care for the Martians at all. I think they're my least favorite groups. I mean, there's the Earthers, which they're the high superiority. Then you got the Belters, which I do enjoy. It's just some of them are. Then you got the really stupid Doug ones, and then you got the idiots like Marco Naros, the radicals. And then you got the Mars people, some loyal ones that are for the military. Then you got the ones who are just not so loyal. So either way, you got scummy people on each different factional groups, and it's just ugh. But overall, season 5, episode 10, Nemesis Games was it was a pretty dang good episode of The Expanse. I liked the previous episode more, where Amos is on Earth and he's with Peaches, and I just liked a whole bunch more. I mean, I'm glad Naomi survived. Again, Amos is still around, but the fact that Alex is now gone, and they had a plaque for him about the crew de Rocinante, and basically they are now an independent ship, so they have no allegiance to Earth, no allegiance to Mars or to the Belt and all this stuff. They choose who they want to save, and they will choose who they want to be. Ultimately, this episode was all about people choosing who they want to be for the future, who they're going to be for the where they're going to stand in the war coming. And maybe Marco Naros is not the biggest threat out there, and maybe there's a bigger threat out there with the people who made the protomolecules, the rings, whatever. But this episode of The Expanse was very, very well done. I enjoyed The Expanse. I think it's a a great show, but this season to me was just... The reason why I'm not the biggest fan this season is because all our characters were separate. Naomi was here trying to work with Philip, trying to get him away from Marcos Naros, and you got James Holden with his thing. He's just trying to play catch up and trying to salvage as much damage as Marcos Naros has done. Amos is trapped on Earth. Alex is with Bobby trying to figure out what's happening with the Martians. Are they working with Marco Naros and all that stuff? So a lot of our characters are separately doing their own things, which is not a bad thing. It makes sense for the story, and it makes sense to grow new characters and all that stuff. It's just when you compare it to the other seasons, it's just... I like when all our characters are together and when they have a journey together and when there's a big mystery that they're solving together. I like when our characters are all together. But I enjoy the season. It's not a bad season. This is a very good season. I give the season a B plus. But I gotta say, Nemesis Games was a very good, and I don't think this is better than last year's than last season's final episode of season 4, where Marco Navarro's killed basically killed Ashford and all that stuff. I just really did enjoy. I enjoyed this season and I enjoyed this episode, but overall, not my favorite episode of The Expanse, not my favorite season of The Expanse, but overall, it's a very well done episode of The Expanse. So let me draw think, everyone. What did you think about this episode 10 Nemesis Games? Do you think it was a good episode? Do you think it was a bad episode? What's your personal opinion about season 5? You think this is the best season? You think this is the worst? Or are you kind of like me, where you want all our characters together instead of separately? Even though I think this season was very much a build up to creating a better show, not a better show, but to creating future conflicts and to creating something that's just going to be overall lovely and awesome. So to me, The Expanse, Nemesis Games, pretty dang good episode. So let me draw thank everyone. I'm Jalise, everybody. Bye.